Hey, Soraya.
Hey, Jeff.
So we've done a little bit of traveling on past episodes where we did some international traveling. We do a lot of
Yes.
domestic traveling virtually through the show.
Right.
But if you recall, we went to Germany to talk to Chris Kakavez. We've been to the UK to talk to Clive Jones. And we've been down under
Yep.
to Australia to talk to Dave Faulkner of Hoodoo Gurus. But I think it's time we do another virtual international trip. What do you say?
I'm ready for it. Where do you think we should go next?
How about Amsterdam?
Love it.
All right. So today we're going to be talking to Emiel Spoelder, I think is how you pronounce his name, who's producing a Dream Syndicate documentary. There's a YouTube trailer that's pretty cool that came out last month. So we'll be talking to him. The title of the documentary is Beyond the Days of the Dream Syndicate. So we've got Emiel on as a guest today, and we've got some questions for him about this documentary and what we can look forward to.
Beautiful. Let's hop into it. Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme,
a podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a grooviar.
Let's get groovy.
Hey there.
Hello, welcome to America.
Thank you.
Hi.
How are you doing today? This evening?
I'm all right. How are you?
We're doing very well, and we're very excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're already recording, so we got this going already. Can you help us by letting us know how you pronounce your name before we embarrass ourselves any further?
Yes, it's Emiel Spoelder.
Okay, I think we were pretty close, Soraya.
We were very close. Good.
Well, Emiel, thank you for being on the show today, and we're excited to have you on because we know that you're producing a Dream Syndicate documentary. We saw a pretty awesome trailer on YouTube that was released last month. So could you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Well, I live currently in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, 37 years old. Was music and movies fan when I was younger. Grew up listening to the Beatles, which are my dad's favorite, and very early started listening to, well, I'm a kid from the 80s, at least I was very young in the 80s, but I grew up with my nephew. He gave me cassette tapes of Guns N' Roses and Metallica and Motley Crue. So a big jump in time. I lived in Los Angeles in 2010, which really felt like a homecoming for me because I was there. This was also the time that the idea for the documentary started. I was living in Los Angeles, going to the Film Academy, and I saw the baseball project show there at the Troubadour.
Nice.
I already, may I go too far ahead in time. First time I saw Steve was when he was opening with the Miracle 3 for Ryan Adams at the Paradiso in Amsterdam. Show was pretty blown away seeing Steve for the first time. And well, yeah, was the time when Static Transmission was just released, and yeah, I listened to all the records afterwards and slowly started to learn about the Dream Syndicate and everything he did in between. I interviewed him a couple of times for a local TV station. So by the time that I saw him at the Troubadour in 2010. We already knew each other a little bit. And while talking to him and his friends and his family, the idea of this documentary slowly started to take form. But it took a few years. I thought at the time that it would be good to find someone to collaborate with. But after a while talking to people, I thought, well, let's just not wait for someone to work with me. Just go ahead and just do it. So the great thing was the first one who said yes, working on this project, was Ryan Adams, the one who made me introduce me to Steve.
Wow.
This was 2012, so quite a while ago. After this, well, it really got me going. I got more enthusiastic by the day, and I just started planning all the interviews with, well, everyone you've seen in the trailer. Yeah, I went to the States for 3 weeks together with a cameraman, and we shot all the interviews, and it was just great talking to everyone and meeting everyone who are basically just as yours, my musical heroes.
Yeah.
The interviews afterwards in Holland, like Chris Robinson of the Black Rose, I met him when he was in Amsterdam. Same as Hau Gelb, also met him when he was in the Netherlands. And after this, I got the editing was going pretty well, but I got stuck on some technical difficulties. And one thing that I should mention, the initial idea of the documentary was to make a documentary about Steve Wynn and his musical career, his very diverse musical career. The Dream Syndicate, Danny and Dusty, his solo stuff, Miracle 3, Crossing Dragon Bridge. It was the first thing that this was what I found very interesting, that he is such a broad musical palette.
Absolutely, yeah.
But this was also what made it very difficult for me in the end to make a movie about this, because it was just too much. I did about 20 interviews, and while editing, I suddenly realized, oh my God, I'm only just halfway. And this is going to be a 4-hour movie if I want to cover everything.
Right.
This combined with some technical difficulties, I got stuck for a few years until in the last, well, just reunited. But of course, they only did the old songs back then. And then in 2017, 2019, when they released the new albums, suddenly I realized, hey, there's an interesting movie there, just the Dream Syndicate. There's the 80s Dream Syndicate, and there's the recent Dream Syndicate, which made some really interesting music in the past few years.
Absolutely. We totally agree with that. So you mentioned going to take film classes while you were in Los Angeles. So were you enrolled in school? You were enrolled in a film academy?
Yes, I was.
So did you make other films, or is this your first attempt at making a film?
I made some short film, and I earned my living as a cameraman mostly for Dutch television.
Oh, okay.
So that's just my day job.
Oh.
And
are the short films available for people to see, or were they just school projects?
Most of them were school projects, yes. I'm thinking, are there any? I don't even know if there are any of them online.
Okay.
Anything back then for local television, I did a music show called Music in the Backyard. Those are most of the episodes are online. We had some great guests there, mostly from the US. Who are they? We had Carolyn Wonderland, Rachel Harrington, Boris McCutcheon. You might know any of them. None from the Paisley Underground, but that was when I started combining music. Well, yeah, I've made hundreds and maybe thousands of hours of television, but it's all it doesn't have anything to do with music, and it's just spread over a lot of TV shows.
Right. So I had a question.
Yes.
And that was, first of all, the trailer really grabbed the attention. I mean, at least within the forums that Jeff and I participate in, it started spreading like wildfire, and people were really intrigued by this. And Jeff and I are just curious, was there someone that you were surprised wanted to talk about the Dream Syndicate? Like, was there someone who was really interested in being interviewed and it wasn't someone perhaps that you had thought of initially?
Well, initially I didn't think of Chris Robinson being Steve himself, who told me Chris was such a fan, and that, well, they already met in the 80s. They of course these stories will be in the documentary, but right. Chris and his brother Rich, they were such big music fans, and especially fans of the Dream Syndicate. They're just like, well, I think basically just like us, just being there very early at the shows, talking to the band, looking at the gear, and yeah, I really loved talking to him because we could really relate. He's just one of us, only he became a really famous musician. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And well, yeah, of course I knew about Ryan Adams, but I never heard his story. Well, we all probably knew he's going through a rough time. I'm hope he's getting through this, but it was really nice to just talking to these really these musicians who made it really big, and just them telling how big of an influence the Dream Syndicate were on their musical taste and musical career.
Yeah, we loved seeing the trailer and all the people that are involved that you talked to. How was the response when you first reached out to these people and requested these interviews? Did you get a good response? Were people interested in doing this right away?
Actually, yeah, I think, yeah, if everyone who's in the trailer, they all said yes right away. Yes, definitely. I'm thinking, did I reach out to anyone? Didn't say yes.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's anybody that you did reach out to that maybe didn't respond. Maybe Kendra Smith.
Of course,
Carl.
of course, Carl. Yeah. I reached out to Carl a few years ago. Didn't hear from him. From what I've heard or read from you, I think you also reached out to him and didn't hear back.
Yes, correct.
I hope he's listening. If he's listening, Carl, please.
Yes, we need
People
you.
Would love to hear your side of the story.
Yeah, please. We want to see you on this documentary, Carl.
Yes.
And Kendra as well would be nice.
Of course, yes. Well, I talked to Pat Thomas about Kendra. Well, it's for Kendra, it's not that she doesn't want to, but that she's living off grid and it's kind of hard to reach her. So she's in there, but for now, only audio, no video. But the same thing is, if I can make it work, definitely want to. Yeah, I would love to see her and talk to her, because as you, yes.
No, all I was going to say, and the day that happens, please let us know. We'll be a boom man, or we'll hold the camera.
Right.
We'll do craft services. We'll do whatever you want.
The sandwiches are over here.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be PAs that day.
Sounds great. You're already in California, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I have another question. I really think it's intriguing how you narrowed the focus to looking at, the origins of Dream Syndicate, and then looking, kind of bridging that time span between a late 2000s or later, what do they call this era, 20 teens or whatever, 2020s, and looking at them now. And my question for you is, was it easy to get clips, video of early performances? Were those things kind of easy to get, or not at all?
No, it wasn't that easy, and it's still not easy. I think that's how it started. Why I was still talking with Steve about how to introduce the project to the world. Didn't really come up with a plan yet, but I posted the trailer online because I was kind of stuck looking for more footage. I thought it was going to be really easy because, as you probably know, there's such a huge archive online with basically all the live shows that Steve and or the Dream Syndicate did over the past 40 years. But still, finding good video footage, that's pretty hard, especially of the early years. From the Paul Cutler era, of course, we already have the Weathered and Torn documentary, right. Which of the Peter Cooper, the director, he allowed me to use all the footage in my documentary, which is a great help.
Wow.
But for the early years, I'm still looking for if there's any more footage, or if anyone has any more photographs or tickets for shows, or any other photographs or footage of all the places where they played, like Raji's or Club Lingerie. Yeah, I need that footage. It makes the story so much greater to have it all visual instead of just everyone just talking about it, just having talking heads.
Right. So was that part of the motivation for releasing the trailer, is to source more material? Okay.
Yes, for me it was. And the great side effect was that for me, except for a very close circle of friends and the people who participated, I didn't have any feedback up until that point. So it was really, really good to just read all the comments and see that people are really looking forward to this, because hey, I love doing it, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And yes, the motivation, same as talking to you now, that really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're very excited about it. And as you know, we're coming up on the 40th anniversary for the band. So This is a great time to be doing this, Emiel. So I think your timing is probably right on. Assuming, since you started in early 2010, assuming it doesn't take another 10 years to release it,
no,
you should be good for the timing to be perfect with this 40th anniversary. Are you looking at a release next year, is my understanding?
Yes, summer next year.
So 2022.
Should have it finished, yes. I still need to do another round of interviews with everyone. Steve will be coming over to Amsterdam next month for he does a stopover before he does his Italian tour. So I hope that's all gonna work out, because of still the COVID situation, of course.
Right. Yeah. Stay safe. Yeah.
Yes.
And I hope late this year, early next year. I didn't make any appointments yet, so if any of you are listening, Dennis, Jason, Mark, I hope to see you all either late this year or early next year to talk about the last 8, almost 9 years since the reunion.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel it. I think because we've had some new releases, it just feels a lot
Current.
closer and not as
Exactly. Yeah, of course. Took 5 years for them until they released the first reunion album, but after this, it all went pretty fast. I think we had a new release every 2 years.
Yeah, and we've got one coming up
right.
too. So
Exactly. Yeah.
So as far as distributing the film, what are your thoughts with that? Are you looking to for film festivals, or are you looking on independently distributing it? What's the thought?
Well, both are still options, especially after the trailer. I got a few emails from film festivals, but also an option to have it released through a record company.
Oh,
But it all depends on the final result. So, well, yes, we talked about it's my first full-length film just that I did by myself. So yeah, everyone still first wants to see the result. But yeah, all options are open for me.
excellent.
As long as everyone who's interested can see it.
You know, Emiel, it's really palpable that this is really a passion project for you, that this is
Yes,
this is coming from, you know, and Jeff and I are fans and we talk as fans, and we're seeing now a visual, you know, a fan love letter, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
Those are my words. But if you had to think about people who maybe don't know the band come across your film, what's one message or one thing about the band that you'd like someone who's walking in fresh with new eyes? What's one thing you'd like them to know about this band?
That's a great question. Well, for me, the Dream Syndicate is about Steve's great songwriting, combined with all the great live energy that comes from this band. And often when I try to introduce someone to the music of the Dream Syndicate, first thing I put on is the Live at Raji's album, because it's just the way the band is supposed to sound. And the great thing is they think the same way themselves. I have this quote from Paul Cutler, who just says it after listening to this album, you just think, why the hell should you ever go to a studio and go through all this hassle when you can just rehearse the songs and play them live, record them, and have a great album.
Wow.
Which
I love that. Yeah.
That's pretty accurate.
So this, I hope I can put this in the film. Just have this feeling of how great their songs are and how much energy they can put in it when they can perform live. And of course, it's very interesting to see how big of a change it can make to have a different guitar player in the band. Of course, we see and hear all the songs from the 80s, first played by Carl, then by Paul, and now by Jason, and they all sound amazing in their own right, but all very different from each other, but there are similarities there. But they're all great.
So Soraya, do you remember when we were talking to Matt Piucci from Rain Parade, and he was talking about Dream Syndicate, and he said, who wouldn't want to play with Dream Syndicate live, because they're such an amazing live band, right? So I mean, that sums it up in with what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that, I mean, their live performances, can't be beat. No matter what Tom Grasick said last week, where it's hit or miss, at least it was in the early days, because they would just take they would take so much risk, so much chances, that when they were fantastic, they were amazing. And there was a couple times they took such a big risk that, according to Tom, it didn't actually pan out well. But what an amazing live act they are. So I'm glad to hear that this is something that you're focusing on with this documentary, because I personally think as a live act, they're hard to beat.
Did you manage to see them in the early years with Kendra?
I did not, Soraya.
No.
So I never even seen them with Paul Cutler. So the first show that I saw was with Jason.
Right.
Jason had already been in the band. So
yeah. But I think it's something that we can do, at least, is let our listeners know, if you have tickets, photos, footage of the places the Dream Syndicate has played, or of shows, definitely reach out to Emiel. And Emiel, if someone has something that they think might be valuable to your documentary, where can they reach out to you? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter or Instagram? Where can they find you?
Yes, they can find me on Facebook, definitely. Well, they'll probably see my name in the title from the podcast. So yes, please reach out to me. Everything is more than welcome.
Perfect. Yeah, and especially the earlier the better, right? Because I think a lot of us have stuff from later, but
yes,
helping fill out that photo from earlier. Yeah.
Yes, even the later stuff is also very, very welcome.
Okay.
But I'm sure there are pictures out there from the early years. There must be.
There's one thing, Emiel, that Jeff and I have discovered as we've been doing podcasts and talking with different people.
Yes.
People are amazing at record keeping. And the things they hold on to, especially from this era, are really amazing. So I have no doubt in my mind that someone's got footage, early video, photos, and especially of the venues too. So, if there's a particular venue that you'd like some footage of, maybe the front or the inside, just let us know and we'll share it with our listeners. I'm sure enough people have stuff in their photo albums. Remember those?
Yes.
Like boxes, and people, it's amazing the things that people have held on to and continue to hold on to. So you just never know.
Yeah. Well, one other thing, just to kind of paint a picture of the era we're talking about. If it's just footage from Los Angeles from the 80s, even this would be a great help. It's very easy to find a lot of footage from Los Angeles, but it's a little bit harder to find it specifically from this era. If you have any,
so it could
please let me know.
So it could be footage from the venues, maybe perhaps that the band played at, or around that area and time, right?
Yeah.
That
Yes.
would be helpful.
Yes.
All right, listeners, viewers, we've got a task for you. There's homework on today's assignment, right, Professor Soraya?
Absolutely. Then it's extra credit if it makes its way into the documentary. Everything is it's all valuable, and that's the great thing is, Jeff and I are such fans of this time, and we're a fan of these bands, and it's really encouraging to see other projects telling their story too. It's important. One thing is to love the music, another thing is to tell the story, and to tell it from the point of view of a fan or various fans, as you've shown us in your trailer. It's really encouraging that, when people tell us, you need to listen to newer stuff. No, we do, but this is also good too. Yeah. And that's why we love it so much.
Yeah. And there's also of course, that's what your whole podcast is about. The whole Paisley Underground scene back then. And well, I'm still considering how to either and how to incorporate it into the movie, because well, it's basically just a movie in and of itself, talking
Right.
about the Paisley Underground. But well, it's such an important part of the story also, as of course they were, well, they saw each other, they met each other, they influenced each other. I still have to talk to a lot of people to
Yeah.
to cover the whole Paisley Underground story.
We're
So I have to
definitely
see
not
how
trying
that
to
works out.
help you get that back to 4 hours. We want to keep, we kind of want to keep it manageable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's one documentary I have to mention. You might have seen it. For me, it was the biggest inspiration. The music about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Running Down a Dream. This is a 4-hour documentary,
Yeah,
and I can just watch it over and over again.
it's
I
great.
know it's
Yeah.
possible to make a 4-hour documentary that doesn't get boring for 1 minute.
Well, we thank you so much, Emiel, for coming on, and we're very excited for this documentary, and we wish you the best of luck in getting
Thank
this
you so
out there.
much.
And hopefully you can wrap this up and get everything that you need, and get it out there for us. And no rush, no push, but we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm also looking forward to the final result after working on it for so long. Yes, I would love to present the final film to you and maybe see you on the premiere somewhere in California.
We'll be there.
Yeah,
We'll definitely
that would
be
be
there for
great.
sure. Yeah, by all means.
But as fans, we are excited. So we're behind you all.
great. Love hearing that, and that motivates me. That really motivates me to have it finished as soon as possible.
Yeah, by all means, and we wish you the best of luck with it. And we're looking forward to seeing this possibly in film festivals.
Great, you will. Thank you so much. Thanks
Very
for
good.
inviting me, and great to finally meet you in person.
Yes,
Same.
yes, as
Same.
well. All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and we're looking forward to seeing it. And thank you so much for coming on and giving us a little backstory about it. Very interesting.
Great. Thanks to you.
All right. We'll see you at the premiere.
See you there.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Jeff, I'm surprised you didn't ask about the guitars that were behind him.
I was considering that. Yeah, I did. I know that he's a musician as well. So I did want to try to keep this focused on
the film,
the documentary, but you know me, I could talk about music forever.
No, I was waiting because I said at one point he moved and I saw the guitars. I said, "Oh, Jeff is going to ask what's behind him," or did you already know?
And I didn't know what kind of guitar it was, but I have seen for his profile picture on Facebook that he's playing a guitar. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, so I knew he was a musician, but I figured that's another discussion.
You know, Jeff, one of the things that I found really interesting about Emiel's story that connects with the documentary is that he really kind of came to the band kind of late-ish, 2010. That's what he said.
Right. Yep.
And 2010, he's living in LA. He saw Baseball Project at the Troubadour. And then, you kind of have the spark of an idea and an interest. And then a show where Steve Wynn and Miracle 3 opened for Ryan Adams.
Yes.
At the Beverly. I think that's what he said, the Beverly.
I believe so, yeah.
So to me, it's just interesting. And then, I have to agree with him. If you want to just focus on Steve Wynn, that's a really long story to tell because of so many different projects and things that he's taken on over the years. But then focusing on Dream Syndicate, that in and of itself is a really interesting story.
I believe so.
Especially because of how the band starts and talking with Tom Grasick and with Steve Wynn, hearing those early, germination of band, and then, later becomes Dream Syndicate. It's a really interesting story to tell, with a lot of different players and focuses. And then when you try and tell that, and then like there's this gap, there's this moment where the music just stops and then restarts. And then when you think of the past couple of years, like I hadn't even put it together at 8 or 9. To me, it seemed like 3 or 4.
Right.
And then we've got release. That's it's like the continuum of the band is just really intriguing. And I think that's why that trailer was so much fun, because and I think you and I reacted the same way. Are we going to see Carl Prakoda in the film? Is Kendra Smith in the film? And I think all fans ask the same questions, and we understand the answers, I think. But
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see how he tells this story.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a lot I've learned in editing a film like this. A lot can change just the way you edit it together, right? I have a couple of friends that are in editing, and they've sent me a couple samples of things, A being editing one way and editing another way. That's pretty much the same footage, and that editing can make a huge difference. So I'm very curious how this gets edited together, because the YouTube trailer looks absolutely fantastic. And like you mentioned, I was very intrigued when I saw it, and it looks total pro shot, right? I mean, this is totally professional. Doesn't look amateur or homemade at all. I mean, this is like legit filmmaking, right? So it just looks absolutely fantastic and very intriguing. And like you said, this story, there's a lot to this story. So what angle are we going to see? I think future interviews will probably determine that, right? I mean, if Carl comes in, if Carl is watching us on Paisley State Raspberry and Ryan and says, I want to be in this film too, reaches out.
He can just reach on out to Emiel, but
absolutely. But I mean, that could change, right? How it plays out.
And I think because you and I are part of we're part of a generation where so much gets recorded easily. And for Emiel to say, I really could use footage from early 80s LA, and even of some of the places that the Dream Syndicate played. I think this is where our listeners probably, if not themselves, they know of someone that may have things like that, photos. I remember the days of video cameras being like the size of your forearm, right? Yeah. But we have to know people have audio recordings or some sort of recorded footage, as well as photos of these places and these bands. And hopefully someone listening can share some things with Emiel, and look, it'll show up in a documentary.
Very cool.
And I just think it's a great story to tell, and to have it preserved in film. I think it's just a really good thing.
Agreed.
And you and I have talked often about how fortunate we are to have been talking to people whose work we really admire. And it's a way of also just preserving that story for time, I'm looking forward to it. And when we saw the footage, when we saw the trailer, we all got like, all giddy. And now knowing a little bit more about the origin of it, I'm really looking forward to listening to this story. And I'm so glad Emiel got the spark to get it going. I really am.
Yeah, I'm ready to go to this premiere, Soraya.
Oh yeah, get your gown, because that's the only way. You gotta get all dolled up.
I mean, I might even get clean chonies for this.
Clean chones are de rigueur for a documentary premiere.
Yeah,
That's just really cool. That's
very
just
cool.
really
Yeah,
cool.
very excited. Yeah,
I'm glad for the band to get
absolutely.
the story told from a place of love.
Absolutely. And the 40th year anniversary is a perfect time for this to happen. So
Yes,
the timing is
sir.
impeccable.
Whew, man, there's a lot to look forward to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot to look forward to. Summer 2022.
Yes. Yes. And hopefully we're in a safer place.
We've got to be, right? Yeah. So.
All right. Help us out, people. Everybody do what you can to get us to a better place.
Yeah, because we all want to go to a 40th anniversary show.
We do.
With a healthy band and a healthy audience, and that sings along to everything and grooves along to everything. We all need it.
We do.
Our spirit needs it. All right. Mi gente, agroviar.
Groove on, Paisley people.
We were all so tired of this nervous, hyper-formulated music that was going on. We just wanted to get lost.
The 80s were brutal.
It was the age of Madonna.
And we knew we would be our own favorite band.
I can't believe how good this music is.
A lot of noise, actually, but it was really, really good.
They kind of created their own soundscape, and they created their own time and place.
Dream Syndicate paid no dues. It happened so fast.
They were just poised to go, straight to the moon.
Kendrick called me up and said, I need to talk to you. I don't want to be in a band anymore.
I think they were a little out of control.
The word got around, Oh, the Dream Syndicate spent $250,000 making Medicine Show.
I was surprised later that everyone thought it was like this sellout album.
But threw some people, off the train who were on the train with us.
There was a guitar hero lurking.
Carl wanted to be in a bigger band. In other words, he wanted to be in a band that sold records and played bigger places.
What I saw between Steve and Carl was, honest to God, creative tension.
It drove me and Carl apart, and I regret that.
As soon as we heard Paul playing with the band, we all just agreed that he was the guy.
It was a really perfect band for me to be able to join.
It's Paul's post-rock and jazz-isms and punk rock sound with Steve's that really made me feel great about that band.
I saw Paul Cutler doing all those guitar things with tools and stuff before Eddie Van Halen was doing it.
When I go down to the medicine show.
Well, in America at that point, we were old news.
We'd show up and people were like, oh, we didn't know you were even but.
It was super depressing.
I think when this is over, I want to stop the band.
I didn't enjoy the lifestyle, so I quit, basically.
I'll see you when the curtain falls.
If people want us to do it, sure.
How did I find myself here?
Carl, Moore, Paul, Cooter wanted to do it, so I got the job.
How did I find myself here?
Steve steps on stage and you're flying by the seat of your pants.
May I curse? That's fucking fabulous.
As good as he ever has done.
Ultimately, the Dream Syndicate were always cool.